If I was going to give anybody any advice about anything, for right now, we'll talk about your writing career, your writing vocation, however you want to look at it. I would say be happy where you are. Don't be content. Don't be complacent, but be happy because you're on a journey. If you're only focused on the destination, you miss a lot of the adventure. Now, I'll give some literary examples. You've got Dorothy and her friends in The Wizard of Oz. You've got Frodo and his friends in Lord of the Rings. They had a destination in mind. Dorothy wanted to get home, the Scarecrow wanted the brain, the Tin Man the heart, the lion courage, etc., etc. Frodo wanted to destroy the ring and save the world. They had their goal in mind. They never lost sight of it, but they realized there were things that they needed to do now. There were things they had to do to accomplish it. Don't overlook the situations you're in now. You're figuring out a style. You're building a character. You're constructing a world. You're constructing a universe. It might just be a book that only a circle of friends are going to read. It might just be a manuscript that only you are going to read. It might be the next bestseller. If you're not happy doing it, it's going to show. And it'll never get past your idea because you're not going to want to write it. Okay, I've got a few self-published books out there. Some of them have enjoyed a little bit of attention, and one people have been asking me for a second printing on because it's sold out. I've got some ideas that people are anxiously waiting for me to give them the updated manuscripts on because they really liked what I was going to do. They liked the world I made. Now, one of my books appeared in the New York Times because I bought an ad advertising it. Does that mean I'll never be a New York Times bestseller or an LA Times bestseller or a Nobel Prize for Literature winner? I don't know. And you want to know something? The more I sit and think about it, I don't really care. It would be nice. I'm not going to disparage them. I'm not going to say they mean nothing. When I was wrestling, whenever you talk to somebody who had one of the belts, they would always try to say, it's just more weight in the bag. But when somebody else got the attention that they had when they had the belt, or the strap as it was called, you noticed that there was a little something more to it than that. And so winning and achieving those accolades would be awesome. But what also feels great is when somebody, the average person, the average reader, just comes up and says, I loved that book. I loved it. Or I love this character, or I really loved how this one scene. I remember the first book I ever wrote, part of it took place at a county fair, and one of the characters was doing a horse pulling. And the way I described the smell, the sound of the jingling chain, the yell, the pull, the strain of doing the horse pulling, the smell of the cotton candy, the hot dogs and everything else, the dust, the heat of being in the stands. Somebody sent me an email and said, I grew up in Vermont. I left when I was in my early 20s. I'm in my 60s now, and reading that scene brought back my whole childhood. That's when you start feeling happy as a writer. So be happy where you are because it's part of your journey. Don't consider where you are your destination. So big, small, independent, published, major publishing house, major editor, your local writing circle. Be happy because it's part of what you are.